so well, I'll be quick, and I want to give them the prices, too. And so the decoupling is never going to happen. The U.S. and Europe go down, the whole world's going. And he mentioned Jimmy Rogers is investing in agriculture and water. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And do you think it makes sense to invest in China and India? And the answer is no. Why would you want to do all those things when you're in the biggest bull market in history in gold and silver and related assets? So you don't need to do all those things. Keep life simple. Okay, here's a quick rundown on the major gold shares that I follow for today on the close. Agnico Eagle is up 5.23% at 49.73, up 247. The Gold Corp was up 5.15%, up 145 at 29.63. Minefinders was up 4.84%, up 35 cents at 7.58. And SSRI, Silver Standard, was up 7.20%, up 116 at 17.26. And that's it. Go ahead.
Are you red-eye? Let's see. We have from Martin, do you think that the U.S. would ship the German gold from West Point to Frankfurt if the Germans asked for it?
They've already asked for it. They've already asked for it. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know whether they're going to get it back or they're trying to be dissuaded. And I think some of that gold is melt, from the 30s, if not all of it. And, it's been there. What do they get a name for it? Registered, or I forget what it is. There's some term they use for it. But anyway, the gold is there, and it does belong to Germany, and it's at West Point in New York.
Let's see, I'm going to find the shorter ones. According to BBC, Alistair Darling, Britain's finance minister, has announced in his budget statement that the country's economy will shrink by 3.5% in 2009, and that's the biggest contraction since the Second World War. Darling also revealed the nation's budget deficit will nearly double this year to $253 billion.
So they're broke.
As is
there any other way to cut? In fact, I don't even think they'll qualify for IMF money. What do you think of that? Their economy is in such a state that they may not qualify for IMF help.
What do you think about Germany's economy? They say that's going to shrink by 6% this year and continue to contract. Let's see. Furthermore, the rate of unemployment will hit 10% next year, as compiled by 8 institutes for the German Economy Ministry. Ivan thinks that the unemployment might be a lot higher.
Well, historically, ever since the wall came down and the deal was made on taking the East German mark and the West German mark and blending them together 1-to-1, the economy in what used to be East Germany has, when the unemployment has been 10 to 12% in the western part of Germany, in the eastern part, it's been between 21 and 25%, and these are official figures. Germany's an exporter, and their exports are down dramatically. Germany never had a run-up in real estate, so there's no real downside to speak of. Germany's balance of payments surplus has carried all the other members of the Eurozone. And they're sick and tired of doing that. An average of 70% of Germans do not want to have the euro. They want the Deutschmark back. And that reflected in their attitude toward bailing out Greece, Portugal, Spain, Ireland, Italy, and Luxembourg, if you can believe it. And so they're in relatively decent shape. They get good savings. The country's been run properly. There's been a lot of mistakes made, but not like in other countries. And so I think they'll do okay. Everybody's going to suffer pain. And as an exporter, it could go on for another at least 5 years. So, you can't isolate them. They're going to do well compared to other countries because they're hardworking, very industrious, very bright people. And they, like the Swiss, have an enormous work ethic. And that's my comment.
What exactly is the difference between a logarithmic and linear chart of a stock's price history? They look so different, yet the logarithmic is the more common. Why?
I don't know. I think maybe because the attitude on information may have changed in the last 20 years. And so maybe that's why. But other than that, I can't give you a better answer. I'm sorry.
Here's a question about Ford. You pretty much talked a lot about Ford earlier. It's just basically a comment about how they lost.
Well, I got one thing to say here.
What?
Look, it's the only big American automobile company that's going to have a shot at surviving. They make good vehicles. I've owned Fords for years. In fact, I switched from Mercedes to Ford because I like the Ford better. And so if you're going to buy a car, I think it'd be a good idea if you bought a Ford if you like them, if they have what you want. And it'd be a great idea if they stayed in business. And I think Chrysler and GM are just lost.
The quality of their products have certainly gone downhill over the years, I think.
Well, no, the American quality has gone upward for the last 10 years.
I don't know.
And now it's as good. And listen, believe me, I've driven other cars, and the quality in the other cars that are popular, that are not Fords or Chevys or Chrysler products, they're not any better. America makes a good product, and it varies from model to model. I mean, this model and the Toyota may be better, or the Honda may be better, but in that maybe, the Ford may be better. So, you got to look at it that way. But if you want to help the country, buy a Ford.
If the dollar collapses, what would happen to the U.S. stock market? Gold, silver shares that are priced in dollars. Would gold and shares rise substantially higher in real value than the stock market?
Well, the gold, if it would go up if the dollar goes down. If there's inflation, gold and silver will go up. If there's deflation, gold will hold its own, and silver will probably go down. Now, based upon that, if we go back we can look and see what happened during the 1970s. Many 50-cent stocks went to $50. I'm not saying that will happen again, but it may. And the quality stocks like Sunshine Mining went from $7 a share to $55, $65 a share. Homestake did well. Now, on the other hand, during the 1930s, when we had a depression, the value of gold was changed. It was doubled in value. And the homestake price in 1929 was $36 a share. In 1936, it was $620 a share. So if you get inflation and deflation, gold, bullion, coins, and shares will hold their own, and they may even make you a lot of money.
Yeah, but didn't homestake really increase the most right the year of 33 when they confiscated gold?
Because they exempted all mining companies.
Yeah. So that's
But
when it
still,
really...
you know, they would exempt mining companies again unless there was a war. Now, during the Second World War, all mining companies were shut down in the United States. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know all of them were.
All of them. And they were switched over to mining other things, such as copper, lead, zinc, etc., because they were made, you know, used to make shell casings and trucks and bombs and so on. And so you can't put a sight on mining shares during the war because there were none. I mean, they just shut down. Many of them never reopened, incidentally.